Hi, everyone. I'm Pip from Seymour Digital Media. You're listening to Know How Marketing Lab podcast. This podcast brings together different experts in marketing from our Facebook group, Cyberpunk Geeks Marketing Mixer. Each week we get on here and we talk about something search marketing like Google Ads or SEO, social media marketing from Facebook to TikTok, or website marketing. If you're a marketer or aspiring marketer, a business owner or entrepreneur, this podcast for you. We're going to share the best SEO, search, social, and website strategies. We share tips and hacks, Google Ads strategies, what's going on in the current market. Each week we discuss something exciting and awesome in marketing. I know you know, because if you're joining us or catching the replay. Anyway, we were just having a great discussion about what is YouTube? Is it search or is it social? And we all have different opinions, which is really, of course, the marketer's way. If you don't know me, I'm Pip. This is Geek Speak. I work at Seymour Digital Media, and that's
Phelan. I also work with Pip at Seymour Digital Media. And that's...
I am Rena Little from Littleworks Indie Media. I do not work with Seymour Digital Media. Actually, I do.
I love it. I am Greg, and I work with Original 72 Creative, and we're a full-service website graphic design and digital marketing firm in Vancouver.
And our powers combined, we talk digital marketing, and we created this group, if you didn't know, a long time ago on a whim, and we all volunteered.
Long time ago, 5 years or more.
Oh. And we've been doing Geek Speaks for a long time, and we get on here every third Thursday, I think, or fourth Thursday, some Thursday, and we talk about this month in marketing. So this is the marketing updates, where we go through all the new things that are happening in the world of marketing. And who's got the big news? Rena does. Oh,
it's not big news. It's just, I find it interesting. It's my interest. Oh, maybe I'm the only one that thinks it's interesting. But I wanted to talk about moderation because something came up in one of my groups that I moderate for. And that is Facebook is now doing moderation for groups. And this is what it looks like. Person makes a post for approval and TikTok sends them a notification that... Facebook, because TikTok's what I'm going to talk about next. Facebook sends them a notification saying that their post is spammy and that if it gets approved, only the moderators and the post, no one else in the group will see it. And it's caused a bit of a dilemma because most groups are doing their own moderation. And in this particular group, we have very specific rules. And there is 2 days a week, actually, where we allow people to promote themselves. Now, we continually try and coach people to take the marketing speak out because actually it's really just annoying to read all the time. But basically, Facebook is helping us tell the members that they can no longer post those kinds of posts. So it's been a bit of an issue. And I don't know if anyone else has seen it in their groups and how they're dealing with it. We're retraining our people and putting up notifications. But one of the things that might be happening is that there may not be manual moderators for your group. We may not be moderating.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, that came up. It's been twice now. So now we know that it's going to be a thing that's really going to be happening and rolled out. We're not sure if it's being rolled out slowly. It probably is every other new feature. We've definitely been targeted for it in one of my groups. I'm probably moderate a number of groups. I moderate, 6 or 7. This is the only group that it's happened in. So I'll let you know.
Is it the biggest group?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And it's a very successful group, and we attend the moderating conferences at Facebook every year and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, so it is.
Has Facebook shown or said that this has been rolled out across the entire platform for all groups, or is this only select groups at the moment?
I can't answer that because I didn't get that far into the research. I was just looking at it from our perspective at this moment, but I can certainly get back to you with a comment later on this week, probably tomorrow, to find out if any announcements came with it. But I don't recall hearing on any of the places that I usually get my early adopter notifications. It didn't come up in any of those places yet, so I'm not really sure what the story is.
Early adopter notifications. Just let's sit on that one for a minute. What is that before we get deeper?
I just made it up. There are a couple of places that I go to get information on these things that are rolled out, and they're my
Go-to.
my secret stuff. Yeah.
Okay, so we're
And
going to talk about that more. They sound like Google Alerts, but maybe for social. Interesting.
So I would just say traditionally, Facebook, they have a policy of any new feature gets rolled out to 10% of all users. Then they get feedback based on that, on how they used it. And then from there, it gets expanded out to everyone. So that's the traditional, and they don't notify you that you're in that 10%. It just happens, and then you're just a statistic.
You just usually notice
the negative feedback is high on this one, because personally, I don't think Facebook should be deciding what a good post in a group is or not.
Here's the thing. Here's the dilemma, is that I was watching I forgot what it's called, but the government interrogation of Chris Cox this week. I was watching that on Twitter, and basically what's happening is they're being account to vet all content, right? So how can they vet content and not, you know what I'm saying? We're asking them to vet misinformation. Now they're vetting spam. I don't know if those two things are related or what, but they're constantly being called into the government for, I call it interrogations, but what's it called? It's called an inquiry or whatever they call those things. I forgot. You can tell me what
it's inquiry. I think it's an inquiry.
Yeah. And it's pretty interesting to watch those things, because you can actually really see where the problems are and where the legal problem is. So interestingly enough, one of the senators was questioning him on whether or not taking down, two questions are whether or not taking down content is against the free speech, which I think we all have heard that one before. But the second part is government asking Facebook to take down misinformation, in particular to COVID and the CDC conversations that CDC were having with Facebook? Is that considered collusion, and is that a criminal offense? So those are the really big questions that are being asked. So you can see the framework of what happens there and then what gets rolled out on Facebook. There is a real big connection. And
so to understand what you said about what Facebook rolled out, is that I thought you mentioned like they want you to speak less marketing related and be more authentic.
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
so
that is correct.
Basically they're dictating how you say things, not what you're saying, because they've always had the policies in place of like hate speech and like taking down content that is misinformation. This isn't talking about anyone should tell me how I should present my content.
So in this particular group, we do have anti-spam rules too. We want to be a community, not a market. And so in that way, I understand why Facebook does that. So if you want to make ads, then pay for ads. If you want to actually introduce your services and products to a group of people that are your community, then do it that way. I think that's what they're saying.
Wouldn't that be something that's community driven by whatever group you're in, not by Facebook? And if Facebook wants to put settings to turn on and off whatever the group wants, as opposed to Facebook deciding that this shouldn't be allowed in the group.
Yeah, I actually don't have an opinion on that. I hate the advertising part of Facebook and social media, so I'm happy to have that monitored. But yes, I only am primarily in groups that don't do that all the time. Like anytime there's spammy or whatever, I leave. And especially this new one. Oh, and the other new feature that came out, the @everyone. Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's bad.
Is if you're making an important announcement that changes the structure of your group or something like that, absolutely @everyone, make sure that everyone gets it. But oh my God, I got a stupid Sunday meme. So what are you doing this Sunday to make sure that your week starts off? Oh, and it's and I'm like, you get a notification and I have to go check it, because I'm like, I'm being tagged. Most people tag me when they're recommending my services. And so I go check it out and I'm like, are you kidding me? And then and there were a whole lot of people that were unhappy. And interestingly enough, the moderator of that group was not particularly open to the criticism that he was getting, not really understanding. For him, adding everyone was to increase inclusivity, which is not inclusive. Like, he doesn't understand the concept of inclusive if that's what he thinks. And then I posted about it on my page, and I had somebody else come in at me and say, this is like really nice for everybody.
No.
I'm like, no, That's not community driven.
No,
Yeah. I want my time to decide when I go to the group to check out all the new posts. I don't need somebody doing that.
well,
So
if
it
it's
just,
a meme, number one,
yeah.
Phelan told me, because
Yeah.
we use Slack, and I was making a joke about this other group I'm in Slack, saying, "Oh, I'm just gonna at everybody." And Phelan looked at me mortified and was like, "Do you know people get fired for doing that at company? Think of social media like a company, and you're
I know.
talking to everybody in your company."
Oh,
And
it's so annoying. Okay, so I just want to bring up the last little bit because we are running out of time. This is more of a
can't
conversation.
just be social. Yeah, go. What's the last social?
So the next part of the moderation that I wanted to talk about was the TikTok moderation, which is the absolute opposite of what Facebook is doing. Whereas apparently, even though we're only talking about like terms of services, like what you can post and what you can't post, and it's all very clear, if you're a regular user, you get flagged and taken off. There was some leaked correspondence, internal correspondence this last week, where it was made evident that influencers, people who have giant accounts, can say the same things and not have their content removed or taken down or any kind of thing. So apparently it's their terms of services are not equal among all users. So there you go.
That was like Facebook, right? We all got let known that Facebook will let celebrities and things like that get away with a lot more than regular people. And so there's banning of accounts that doesn't happen to celebrities, but will happen to other regular people. Very interesting. This is, I guess, one of the newest things. How do we manage in these social worlds where we're spending more and more time and people are faceless people are interacting, right? And it's caused a lot of hiccups. Yeah. It's very interesting. It brings us back to really, what is social? What is search?
Well, social and search are just becoming so, right? Yeah, because you used to be able to, and this is my whole concept, is that you used to be able to, or companies used to hire search, hire social, hire web. And while those things are still pretty much decent verticals and all that, there has to be a lot of collaboration, which is, I think, why we actually organically created this nice little structure for ourselves here, like where we work together and we share ideas. And so my social helps with SEO, and I understand how the websites need to be worked with
together.
Yeah, so it all has to be an integrated strategy. Although Facebook really wants to keep everyone on their platform, like we were saying before, somebody brought that up before. They're all really messy together. It's all really messy together.
Yeah, they're like siblings. They are like siblings who don't really like to share, but they end up sharing, right? They have the same friend group a little bit. It's quite interesting.
Or they get investigated by the FTC for colluding and slowing everyone's internet down in the United States by up to 100%.
That's true. We're not going to get into the politics of it all because it's insane. However, if you do pay attention to the politics of it all, and like Rena did, you watch different things where people are being questioned, you will probably learn how to do your job better, because we know that. So in SEO, there was a gentleman that died, and he always looked at patent law. And he was one of the leading SEOs because he went through patent law, which, if you don't know, if you go to Google and you search patent law, Google actually has a search engine just for patent law. It's only in America, but it's a whole search engine on its own. And if you research that, you can learn what are they buying so that you know what are they planning, right? Want to know more about SEO? We've got a class for that. Our mission is to educate students about the right tools, techniques, and strategies to grow their businesses using the most up-to-date search engine marketing optimization techniques and tools. Find out more at knowhowmarketinglab.com. Okay, so there's other search news, and we know, just like usual, there's no website news, right, Greg?
There is always website news. It's just a case of whether I know it or not. But I did have a couple of things to mention that I have come across recently. One was just something I thought about in the last couple of days, because I've been getting a lot of notifications from hosts and companies about their PHP upgrade, a forced upgrade to P8, which has been around for a while now. It's basically the default that most hosts will have installed. But essentially, the PHP 7.4, a lot of hosts are doing an end of life and sending out notifications that they'll lose support for 7.4 and they'll be on 8, and to make sure they check their site is compatible, because there are some things in PHP 8 that have been removed from the old version. So there could become potential issues if you are using legacy PHP 7.4 things.
Ooh.
So I just thought I would mention to that, because I actually last month had someone contact me about a page not working anymore. And this wasn't someone who was a client of mine, but immediately I knew it was either an SSL issue or their host updated their PHP and now their site doesn't work. So it could cause you issues. So just a warning to people that there's the potential that your host as well will at some point end support for PHP 7.4.
So you have
and
to
so you'll have to make sure that your site still works with the newer version of PHP.
Interesting, because I think we got a notification saying to update our PHP last week. How long, Greg, on an average, do you think it would take? So if I'm a client and I come to you and I'm like, my site's not working and this page isn't working, fix it. Would it take 5 or 10 hours to do that, you think? If you know what you're doing.
Okay, I'll give you a situation. I had a client reach out to me 2 or 3 weeks ago asking to have a look and fix something, which I fixed within 5 minutes. And she tried to get someone on Upwork to take care of these things, and they couldn't figure it out in 2 weeks. So it really depends on the knowledge of the person who you're asking.
That is a really good point.
It also depends on a lot of other things. What theme are you using? How old is that? Can you even there's just so many things. Like, it's really hard. It's like mechanics. You open up the hood and you have to pay for the time that it takes to diagnose it. And while you're in there, you may as well just fix it anyways, because it's going to take you just as long to write up that invoice and charge for that time as it is to go back in there and do the couple little tweaks. That's the thing. It's troubleshooting is time consuming.
Experience.
Or it can be really fast. Yeah. Like, I've got 20 years behind me.
Yeah, exactly. So people who have been doing things for a while know what to look for. That's the key. And then the other part of it is sometimes you can just push that little button that says update and everything works fine. And sometimes you push that little update button and everything breaks. And don't just push buttons willy-nilly is my advice.
And this is why collaboration works really well with other marketers, because so if I have a problem and Phelan and I can't resolve it, we'll probably talk to Greg or Rena first, or someone else we know who's in marketing, because if we work together, then we can know. We all swap work, right? Don't get us wrong. We're all paying each other, but it's really helpful, all of this, right? And that's why we come on here monthly, because who doesn't want to know about moderation or websites or search? Phelan, you got some search?
Yeah, like Phelan saved my butt. Chased him for a 15-minute call, and he gave me all the answers really quick. I don't have to struggle and search it out myself and go on support and do all that stuff to figure it out. Yeah. I now know
the power of community. This is why people need to meet in Cyberpunk Geeks.
Yeah.
I was just going to finish up web stuff. WordPress 6.1 beta has been released recently, so me and all other people who usually build with WordPress are probably going to be testing out that and seeing the changes in the latest version. And if I find anything interesting, maybe I'll post it in the group. Nice. And one last thing I wanted to say about websites is there was a WordCamp recently for WordPress down.
I love WordCamps.
Yeah, down in the States. And there was a question asked to Matt Mullenweg about the block editor and support for the classic editor, how people used to use WordPress. And his response was interesting, that he really suggested people get on the block editor sooner than later, because so many things are going into the block editor. It is the future of WordPress. It's not going backwards, and all of the people who are holding on to classic editor are just going to have a much harder time learning and adapting to the block editor if they don't start doing it now.
That's a good
So
point.
basically, it was the person was looking for longer legacy support of Classic Editor, which they've already extended to another year and a half to 2 years down the road. But Block Editor is not going away, and eventually Classic Editor will. So people need to start learning it now while they can bite-size learn it, as opposed to waiting another 2 years when it's this massive thing and overwhelming to figure out.
Isn't that interesting?
Incremental shifting over is ideal.
That's like Google Analytics 4. If you are not there, get there. Because we only have till I think it's July to move everything over and understand the new terminology. So it's a lot.
That's April of next year. It's 2023 is when they're
and
I thought it was July 2023.
I thought it was July too. They said they were gonna.
Yeah, but I'm just saying. You said like this year, and I was like,
I feel like it is.
Yeah,
the thing about that is that if you wait, here's the catcher: if you wait too long and you want to be tracking your ROI, and you get to July and you decide, okay, now I'm going to do it, you don't have a year's worth of data to compare to. You don't have it. So I think it's less about the learning, because don't overwhelm yourself, but you need to get your reports organized and your Google Analytics organized so you can do that comparison with data. Otherwise, you're stuck not knowing what you're doing for at least 6 months.
And so you have to learn how to configure it too for conversions, right? Or leads or whatever you're tracking on your site. It's going to be a shock to some people's system. And if you're a good marketer, you're going to hopefully set your clients up to give them the advantage, right? Which gives yourself the advantage. And as you do that, you start to learn the terms and stuff like that. So Phelan, we're running out of time. We got 6 minutes to talk about search. Search is awesome. Who has felt an algorithm update? Who has?
Oh, no.
Oh, do you guys look at Search Console at you can see algorithm update and where you go? So we went up, down, and now we're going back up. So with the last core date update last week.
Okay, I'm going to have to check mine. I haven't looked on mine. I looked last week and I didn't figure it out, but I'll be looking again this week.
Change it to the 16 months.
Okay.
Then it just makes more sense.
You'll need a longer historical, because if you're doing anything too short a time span, it's
hard to tell.
Yeah, these things require a longer time span to look at. The other one is affiliate marketers got really hit with the product review update that happened.
Yeah. There's been 4.
Yeah, there's been and some pretty serious ones.
2 core, 1 content, and product. Yeah.
Yeah, and the product review one is definitely one that affiliate marketing is getting tougher. You're going to need to spend a lot more time building out content. One other thing that wasn't included, we should have talked about in the website, is Chrome came out with a new feature that we're going to have to see how it's implemented. It's called freeze-dried tabs. And that is a new way to use, my understanding on a quick reading was use CSS to render JavaScript so that it uses less thread time on mobile. So basically it's a way that it configures your website so that it actually runs 20% faster.
That was so hard to understand. I'm like, what? Yeah. What is that like to be a smart marketer? So can we break that down a little more?
Yes, the breakdown is it makes your website run 20% faster.
And I can freeze dry tabs?
They're calling it, they freeze dry them, meaning that they freeze them a little bit and then they make a little picture basically. And that picture does what the JavaScript that would be running would do. It fakes it is basically the best way to put it. That's why they call it freeze dry.
Basically, the system is not, when you go to get to somewhere, the system is not going to get to that spot fresh every single time you get. There's already little bits already there that are stored so that it's a faster loading.
So does that mean
version of it?
That's why they came up with the name like
that. Is it
like
replacing cookies?
Nobody likes freezer burn, though.
No, it's upgrading caches. How we used to cache a website, it's an upgrade on that. And they've done a bunch of little work.
If you don't know what caching is, Rena's going to explain that right now.
Am I? Okay. So caching is actually when your site or server stores a version of the site after the first time you visited it so that it's always there and it loads very much faster for you moving forward. Did I get that okay, Phelan?
Yes, and it can also be on the server. So the server can be, that's what content delivery. Yeah, that's how Cloudflare works. Is they store a little version of your website, and it will load everything. But if you go to submit a form or something, that's where they actually go and talk to the big one, and it takes a little bit longer. But the caching works. Everyone's storing a little version of your website.
What I didn't catch on that, though, is this. Where is the freeze-dried stuff happening? Is that happening at the site level? The server
Sorry.
level?
Come on now, it's so funny. It's so funny freeze-dried.
Because I have server site.
Yeah, so this, from my understanding, is it's Chrome. So I'm guessing it's the browser will do a storage version of it because it's Chrome that was doing the announcement.
That's really interesting. There's so much going on in marketing right now and so many changes. I have to say that I have nothing for Google Ads really besides one thing, but I don't even need to talk about it because it's so not important. So keep going.
There is something really important in ads. Apple is announcing that they are in Q4. They have announced that they're actually going to do ads. So if you thought that they were going to protect all your data, guess again, they're going to sell that as well to advertisers.
But that being said, if you don't know, most of us don't set up Apple Maps for our business. So if you actually type into Google Apple Maps for business, you can sign up. And so, because people use Apple Maps and it is part of citation building.
Only people with iPhones.
That is a hot tip.
And even at that, sometimes they don't use it.
Yeah, it's true. I don't use it.
I don't use it either.
But it's one of the top citation builders. So after Bing, right? Because you go Google Business Profile, then Bing would be your very next one. Hopefully not Yelp, because Yelp will just call you and try to sell you stuff. And then Apple Maps is like actually the third on the list for citation building. So whether or not we all use it, it's Foursquare. You can still sign up for that, but it's dead. So Apple's in the ring.
You can actually ask Yelp to take your telephone number off their call list. I haven't had a telephone number with them in 4 years, and I manage a lot of Yelp customer pages, by the way.
They always hire the 20-year-old sales reps, which I am fond of because I may be a 30-year-old sales rep. Anyway, guys, we are out of time. And not out of touch, just out of time. So if you want to join us, we are in Cyberpunk Geeks Marketing Mixer, the Facebook group. We also publish on YouTube. And we're launching our podcast this week, so this Friday. And if you're on our email list, you will get an email. So just so you know, it is under the name Know How Marketing Lab. And then next week, we always tell you what we're going to talk about next week and who's going to be talking. And I believe it's Rena and Greg. And what are y'all talking about next week?
We're talking about the importance of a marketing strategy.
So fun. I'm gonna be there watching that, to be honest, because I want to know what you guys got. But we will see you all next week, right? Okay. If you believe YouTube is a search or a social platform, let us know in the comments. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
The conversation never stops in our Facebook group, Cyberpunk Geeks. Join us at facebook.com/groups/cyberpunk geeks to ask your questions, meet new friends, and learn even more about search, social, and websites.